scripture, and then I'm going to talk about something real fast. 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter. For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. And I want to talk about, just for a minute, brothers and sisters, I finally gotten myself together. And now I know who I am and whose I am. Brothers and sisters, Paul at the time was Saul. He was breathing havoc against the church on the road of Damascus. And brothers and sisters, the light shined down, knocked him off the beast, and changed his whole entire life. This man, Saul, was a man, brothers and sisters, that didn't care about no Christians at all. But I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, you can be changed. Sometimes it's not even your will to be changed. But this man was changed, brothers and sisters, and after him being changed, the things that he wanted to do, he didn't want to do anymore. The places he wanted to go, he didn't go anymore. And I say that because, brothers and sisters, I see my uncle here. I remember the time, brothers and sisters, Uncle Joe, believe me, he did a transformation just like night and day. But I tell you, and he used to tell me this here all the time. He said, boy, I used to nurse you. And I finally understood what he was saying. He used to babysit me, but as time went on and on, I began to stay with him. I began to follow him, and he got to the point where he was so enthused about preaching the word of God. He would go any place to hear some good preaching. I don't care who it was that they could preach. Uncle Joe was there to hear some good preaching. And not only that, but he would tell you about some other individual just preaching. Come on, go with me. Come on, go with me. I want you to hear this man. And he had some preachers that he loved to hear preach. And believe me, I know because I went with him quite a few times. And I carried him quite a few times. And I said that because it reflects back on Paul, how Saul became Paul, and how he got himself together, and how he started working for the Lord. I can remember, brothers and sisters, Uncle Joe got himself together, and he started going to church. He would go to church 2 or 3 times a night, and he would go to church on Sunday and stay all day. And he had his brother, Uncle Willie Jr., they loved church. They loved some good preaching. His first thing was singing. He came from singing to preaching. And when he got to where he understood the word of God, I mean, he listened to it and watched it on TV 24/24. I can share this with you. I can share this with you because for the last 2 years, Uncle Joe and I lived together. The last 2 years. And his station was 36 or 37 on cable TV. And it had preaching from 1 o'clock to 1 o'clock. He loved him some preaching. And if he couldn't get the preaching he wanted on there, he had me getting tapes, DVDs, listening to preaching. And one of his favorite was Floyd Skinner, Robert Skinner, Larry Skinner, Donald Parson, Pastor LaSure, Reverend Elliott. He loved him some preaching. And if you wanted to know anything about preaching, all you had to do was ask Uncle Joe. He loved some preaching, and his next thing to preaching was cars. He loved him some cars. But he got himself together through the word of God. And I was looking there, and when Paul said, I finished the course, and now I'm ready. Let me share this with you. Back at the age of 62, Uncle Joe and I would tell him all the time, don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that, Uncle Joe. He would tell me, son, about 18 years from now, I'm going to be ready to meet my maker. And I said, Uncle, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And some of us can attest to that. He said that to many of us. And then at the age of 72, he would come back and tell me the same thing. I am ready to meet my Maker. And brothers and sisters, I went through something with Uncle Joe, and every time he was turning around, he said, man, it's getting close. It's getting close. Brother Elwood can attest to that. Reverend Skinner can attest. He said, it's getting close. It's getting close. Back here in December, I saw Uncle Joe's face get so happy. I saw the change in his life. He just got where he was just so happy all the time. And he'd taken sick. But in the course of his sickness, brothers and sisters, Uncle Joe made it perfectly clear that he was ready. He made it clear that he was ready to go home. And I was back and forth, and I'm going to say that, and I said it because the way he got himself together, and he knew that the Lord was ready to come and get him. It's all right to be absent from the body and present with the Lord. And on that day, the 4th day prior to him getting real sick, it was a week before that, he began to get better. I mean, I was out to the hospital and I was feeding him and he started joking, he started laughing. I don't want nobody, if you just have to weep because you love him. But this man got himself together, and when he was together, he made it perfectly clear. I came back that Monday, he wasn't looking too good. My mother, my aunt, and we came back that Tuesday and his health started failing him continuously, his blood pressure. But I knew then I had to continually prop myself up, get myself together. I couldn't allow myself to weep. I couldn't allow myself to become the crying Rev Massey. He told me to be strong. And he said, I'm ready now. And I looked over at my mother. I told my mother, I said, Mama, it's not going to be long now. And sure enough, I called that Friday morning. He said his blood pressure had dropped. And then 12 o'clock, they called me back. And I knew what it was all about. So it's all right to be absent from the body and present with the Lord. He finally got himself together. And he knew who his master was, who his maker was. I say this to you, brothers and sisters, God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you. If you weep, weep because he was a good uncle. Weep because he was a good friend. I dearly loved him. And in my closing, I must say this here to my brothers, my friends, my relatives, my loved ones, that God is able. He is able. Now, I'm going to bring to you the proud pastor of Rayfield, the angel of this house, none other than the pastor, Skinner. Let's give him a hand clap. It's all right to praise him. It's all right to clap for him. God is able. Very hard to say amen. Say amen again. Come on, please, Lord. Come on. First, we give honor and praises to the Almighty God, which is first and the last. To all the pastors, Pastor Lee Shore, Pastor Robert.